Demo day. Ugh. So let's look at some things we might need. All right, here's some things we might need. Okay, GoPro, stop that. All right, so a screwdriver or a drill. I have this kind of smaller Makita set that came in a lovely canvas bag that I love. I've had it 5 years. I love them. They came with like a multi drill tool, a hammer tool, this, a sawzall, and lots of little batteries. Love it. So a crowbar, a grout removing tool. This isn't a must. I have it. It's real handy. Love it. A hammer, not a little hammer. Medium-sized hammer. A drain removal tool, maybe. We'll go over this. Some Allen keys that we'll look at. One of these razor tools. Safety glasses. Tape. Gloves. A water key. Some people call it a water main tool, a curb key. It's called all kinds of things. It's to shut your water off at the main. So I will put this by the front door just in case something goes a little wonky. And an old sheet. And if you want a little screen grab of the things that I used, here's one in list form. All right, first things first, let's clean this out. All cleaned out. Let's start the demo. Okay, first thing we want to check out is we need to get all of this off the wall. Can't take down tile without getting these off. So typically these face plates are on with Phillips screws or something like that. Sometimes these are on with an Allen wrench. This one is not. It should just pull off. We'll see. This one is on with an Allen wrench, so it's under here, and I've found one that fits. And this is a single hole aerator that I'll just remove with a screwdriver. And then the drain, I'm not removing the tub. I have the drain tool, so I can take this out, and I will eventually, but that's the last thing I'll do before I change all these to black. So I'm gonna make the drain match it, so I'll take that out eventually. Right now, I'm just gonna tape it, and I'm gonna put down a sheet before I get started. All right, taping up the drain so nothing goes down there, and then I'm gonna put a sheet down to protect the tub. Finding these things, and man, using that Allen wrenches there is so annoying. Anyway, good luck with that. This handle I thought would just pull straight off. I didn't see an Allen wrench location or anything else to help me out. And then I thought, let's go to YouTube and see what it says. So YouTube University told me that with enough pressure, that handle will unscrew, and then there's an Allen key inside there. Now the shower head that we might have to wrench, oh, just kidding, it was barely on there. I had a pretty tough time getting this off. It screws into the copper pipe that's behind the wall. Now really, if you jostle it too much, I didn't want to loosen anything that's against the wall or anything in the back. So again, YouTube University, everyone just recommended really turning really hard, and I did. I'm very excited. What I want to do now, so here's my beef with what they did here. Let me take a little closer. Okay, see how this is gross black? There is some caulk there. Okay, they did the bottom. They did not caulk the corners, and they did not caulk the top. This is grout. Not a huge deal. I mean, you know, the rule for caulking is where two different planes meet, you want to caulk it, because as those shift separately, it gives better than grout does. Okay, I don't see any cracks, so I don't actually know when this was done. But what I want to do is maybe save the trim, because I really want to try to save the trim, because see how this matches up? This is the same trim that's in the rest of the bathroom. And I want to put this back on because I think that looks really finished. Not sure what to do if I can't keep this. So what I'm going to do is go around with the knife that I have. Up top, it looks like maybe they caulked it, so I'm gonna cut that so that when I try to pull it off, it comes off cleaner. But they have grouted, it looks like, let me see the thickness. Yes, okay, so the tile, you can see here, is up to the trim, not the trim on top of the tile. That's fine, but what I'm gonna have to do, since this is, I can't cut this with a knife because it's a grout. When I'm hammering to remove this, my goal will be to take this part off first, try to hammer this out, and then come up and take the trim off. Maybe that'll have to be last, so we shall see. Okay, just cutting the grout here all along the bottom to make sure that nothing is pulling anywhere. And then I'm also going to go ahead and grout where the tile meets the wall so that when I'm breaking it up and I'm pulling it off, it's not pulling on the sheetrock. So I really don't want to have to replace any or very much of the sheetrock. So, and I'm also going to go ahead and cut along the trim at the top. Same thing over here. There is a metal corner piece that's going around this and under the tile. So I'm trying to cut along that. I do want to replace that corner piece, but I don't want, when I pull this off, to have it pull off any of the sheetrock. So that's what I'm doing there. Thumbs up for some reason. So I'm laughing here because I was able to pull that trim off with my fingers. All right, let's put on the gloves and the glasses and get to taking this wall down. I decided to start on the back wall, just get something easy to start with. And what I want to do is I'm going to try and take this off in two pieces because they are very heavy. So what I'm going to do is hammer in kind of at the midpoint line and just hammer across so that it gives me a space to open up where I can get a grip. And what you want to do is try to get in there and wiggle a little bit. And as you wiggle, those screws that are holding in the boards that are holding onto the tile will come loose. So those boards will come off the screws. Screws will stay in the 2x4s, but you'll kind of wiggle and pull them off. So this is what I'm doing here, is try to get like a little handhold in there so I can take out that lower piece. While I'm here, I want to see how this kind of final row of tile meets up between the sheetrock and the green board to see if it would be a smart move to take these tiles off first. It is a pretty good idea to also every once in a while take a peek when you're getting through there just to make sure you're not messing anything up, that there's no surprises behind the walls. Okay, I've pinpointed the other studs so I know where I can really punch through and get a handhold. So that's what I'm doing here, is clearing out all that stuff between the studs. Okay, first try at the wiggle, no movement, 0. So I was trying to show you in the video, but it's really holding on to that grout that's in the corner and those tiles on the edge. I want to make sure that I am getting those tiles off the edge because those are going to come off with the whole thing, and I just think in the long run it'll be better to not having that come off in one big piece. All right, so now for the grout. This grout, they left a pretty good sized gap in the corners between those two tiles and then just stuffed it with gap. So trying to break that up when all it's doing is hitting more grout behind it was so difficult. This is probably the most tiring of this whole job. So hopefully this won't be the case in another job. So I'm going to spend some time here trying to break all this up with both the hammer and the crowbar. I was getting nowhere. So I decided to break this piece then in half and go down the stud and unscrew some of those screws, at least at the very top, to at least try to get me some wiggle, some playroom to start with. So I hammered down the whole piece so that it would come out in two pieces, but what I really want to do is try to uncover some of those screws to help that top part wiggle, and then I can wiggle it to the whole part. Okay, I have decided to take off the tile, and then I'm nodding to myself that this was a good idea. So now I can see where those two boards meet, and then there was some tape behind it, some fibrous tape that we'll talk about later, but now I decided to go ahead and cut along where that tape ended, so that when I am pulling this off, it for sure ends, because that tape was going across the two boards over to the sheetrock. So I had gone down and kind of cracked the grout on this outer edge of tile, but decided to go ahead and take all the tile off just to not have that extra sticking point when I'm taking off the rest of this. So taking off those tiles also uncovered the screws, at least for the board under the tile, that was at the very edge. So those screws run the whole way down the wall. So I'm going to take those tiles off and then take every screw out that's along the wall that I uncovered, just to make all of this a bit easier. Tape and tile and screws, repeat. I went ahead and took the tile out here all the way to the floor. So I just don't have to do it later, but sorry you can't see that. Okay, phew. I got us back to normal speed for a second. I wanted to show you what this wiggle looks like in real time. So the screws are undone. I want to get at the very top and just make little pulls and start to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And that'll start going further and further down. This piece broke a little early, but that's essentially all I'm going to do is just take the top part and wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. here I'm just going to get out the rest of the few little pieces that are on that left side around the tub and be done with that. Okay, so no give on the wiggle. I'm pointing to where the screw was on the other side, and typically when people put in these boards, horizontally and vertically, they'll run about the same location, if that makes sense. So usually they do them about every 8 inches up and down, and then horizontally they'll do them on every stud. So what I want to do is knock out a little of the tile around where I think those screws are on these 2 studs and take them out. I found the screw at the very top that's holding that on, so hopefully taking this out will give it enough room, and taking out this grout, to start the process here. Okay, did some cleanup with my back brace. Went ahead and left that on. So I'll speed this up here, essentially doing the same thing, but on this last part, what I'm doing is at that grout line up top, I took the chisel and just kind of knocked it out all along the top so that it wasn't pulling on the trim. And then I went ahead and hammered out another vertical line. I probably could have taken this whole piece out, but it was above my head and I didn't know if it'd be too heavy. So I went ahead and hammered it in half, and then also took out those tiles again up the wall and just took out the pieces as they came out. Okay, here I am pondering what they've done. So you'll see that there's a strip up top, and I'll talk about this in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of this whole wall off. All right, I'm going to get this wall all cleaned off. It is quitting time for day 1. That was day 1. I think total I spent about 3 hours. That includes extra time for filming, downloading some stuff. This is the first time I've ever filmed myself doing anything, so it's a learning curve. A little bit of cleanup that I didn't film, just taking stuff to the trash and things like that. So working time, I mean, maybe an hour and a half. We'll do a timeline at the end. I'll try to keep track of everything and put it with each section. So today's day 2. So it's a working day, since I do have a real job, a paying job, let's say. So I have quite a bit of stuff today. So I think I'm only going to have about 2 hours today total. So I'm going to get in and try to finish up as much demo as I can today. I'm going to film it all. And I'd like to show you what I learned about that top part by the trim and my new idea. Okay, I wanted to show you, I hope this reads the right way, the book was better. Caffeine in the Day is a nitro. Let me show you this up here. Okay, so this is where, for some strange reason, I guess they just had some extra sheetrock. So this is just plain 1/2-inch sheetrock. Okay, so it looks like it is going up and under the trim. Maybe it's going just to here, but I'm gonna leave it. This is above the water line, if that's the technical term for it. So this is on the opposite side of the shower. We'll see what the other side looks like. But essentially what that means is I'm still gonna tape it, probably paint it, waterproof it with the membrane, all that stuff, so it's acceptable. A lot of showers that you see above the shower faucet, or even sometimes some of those older ones, they'll have the plain sheetrock come down all the way to below the shower head. I'm not doing that, but this is, you know, way above the splash line. So what that means is I'm hoping that means I get to keep the trim as is, and then just do my HardieBacker cement board just up to here. It won't change how much I need because of just the way the math works out, but that means I don't have to worry about damaging the trim, and I can just tile right up to it just like they did previously. So I'm fine with it. I'm hoping that's actually going to be how it ends up happening. Okay, diving right in. I want to do this wall in 4 pieces. So I'm going to do this lower left portion first. And I'm kind of opening it up along the stud in the middle. So hoping I can get in there and grip it and start wiggling it loose. Okay, I'm not getting any wiggle. So what I'm doing is trying to reveal any of those screws right there at the top that I can unscrew and make it where I can get a little wiggle. All right, I'm grabbing my little Dremel tool to make a little slice in that board. Right here is where I realized I needed to take out the other wall before I could take out the back wall, because it was put in after and it's blocking me being able to take out that back wall. So pivoting. So first up, I'm going to get the grout out from around all the fixtures. What they did was they just added grout up to every single fixture, which you do not need to do because you have face plates that cover these. So I'm trying to be very careful and do this very gently so I don't hurt any of the copper piping or any of the fixtures. Here I'm trying to just estimate where I think some of those screws might be, again, so I can get some wiggle. So I'm trying to break those free, and then I'm doing the side tiles first so that I can make sure I'm not really pulling against that wall as much as possible. Trying to find those screws. I'm digging out that corner grout that is so thick. It's starting to pull against that corner bead, so I'm dremeling away a little line right outside that. I'm going to replace the corner bead, but I just don't want it to rip off the sheetrock right there. Phew, little breather, checking everything out, everything looked good, and doing a little dance. A little bit of cleanup and off to work. Okay, again, so I'm going to take off these side pieces just so I'm not ripping that sheetrock off, and they are coming off nicely today. So now I'm gonna break up that grout at the very top. Remember, that's along that trim so that when I'm pulling it, it's not pulling on the grout. No wiggle, find those screws. Okay, I had to pause and show you how thick this grout is. Cutting a line, finding screws, getting wiggle, repeat. Now I want to make sure all the screws and grout and everything is out of there so that wall can come off. Once you get some wiggle in there, you really can take these off pretty easily. So this part didn't come off with the very top tiles that were on that sheetrock. So I'm just very gently breaking them. So on the second part, I kind of broke those first, and hopefully that'll all come off in one piece. And done. Thumbs up. Here is the final product after quite a bit of cleaning and removing all the screws. Next up, we have the bones. So we'll set the stage to put in the niche and make sure we have all the boards where we need it. And I should have all the fixtures in. So we'll make sure that the height of the spray handle and the height of the head and everything looks good.